Welcome to Pondering Passages. I'm Curt Austin, and today we're going to be talking about Psalm 3. It's a psalm of David, written for a troubling time in his life, and I'm excited to see what I might be able to learn from my good friend Dave. It's kind of an interesting psalm. It's got some things I like, but some other things I struggle with. So I want to see if I can get some learning about that. So join us. We're going to come right back here after this musical interlude to see what it is we can learn as we ponder it together. We'll see you then. Curt Austin, my good friend right over there,
David Mullins.
David Mullins, and together we are pondering passages. Today we are pondering Psalm number 3. We're into the beginning of this. Now, this psalm, Dave, I don't know what you thought about this psalm, but it was not exactly warm and fuzzy.
You said that about the last psalm too.
I
Well,
know,
not
and
those exact words, but
I'll
some of
be honest. I, in my head, had this idea that the starting of the Psalms were these beautiful poetic songs that just kind of took you into the presence of God. And I've been sorely disappointed as we've gone back and started over again at the beginning.
really.
Psalm 1, I loved, right?
Yeah.
And you helped me feel better about Psalm 2. So I'm really excited that you're going to do the same thing for this psalm regarding the time that David fled from his son Absalom, who was chasing him down, trying to kill him. This is
Well,
going to be great.
I hate to burst your bubble, but this is probably one that David didn't write.
What?
And apparently the way these psalms would work is the psalmist would write a psalm and then they would or maybe he was reflecting about the time that David fled from his son Absalom, and this is the
Okay.
psalm that he wrote in response to it.
Okay. I buy that.
Should we go through that? Should we go a little bit through the account of David running from his son Absalom?
Please
Or was
do.
that,
All I
or was that
remember is the movie with Richard Gere.
oh,
So
David?
yeah.
I do not remember that movie, at least this. Uh, well, it was not a very good time in
No.
David's life. His son tried to take over the throne, actually took over Jerusalem, and David had to leave and literally flee for his life, even though he was, the king, God's chosen king. And so, gosh, I can't remember exactly. It was probably the end of First Kings, maybe, where all this took place. But it's very, as much as David is a man after God's own heart, his family was a mess,
Oh my
and
gosh.
it probably all started with Bathsheba. I mean, not her fault, but David's sin with Bathsheba, and it just kind of shows that there's scripture talking about the sins of the father visiting the sons, the children, and I think it's an example of that. But
I tell you, there if you want to if you struggle with the dysfunction of your own family, just read the Old Testament for a while.
yeah,
Because there are not very many functional families in the Old Testament, and not by 21st century standards. I
yeah,
mean, for any standards, these people were a mess. And
yeah,
Absalom chasing down his father, and then the way Absalom ends up dying
yeah,
is
and
horrible.
yeah, and David didn't want him killed, but I think his military leaders
Yeah, yeah.
saw a different path. So it's
Anyway,
really sad. But this could have been a psalm that David wrote. But it also, there's a really good chance that a psalmist wrote it, and you know either look through the Bible for where this would fit, or reflecting on this whole account. And so I'm curious, Curt, what part of this just really didn't resonate with you? I want to compare notes.
well, I mean, we've talked about this before. This goes back to the canned conversation I'm able to offer. We've talked about this many times before, Dave, and I think this is another example of the fact that it's a war. It's a war mindset. It's a battle mindset. It's a you know there's a shield, and God is going to break the He's going to break the enemy.
Yeah.
Um,
Slap them in the
it,
face.
I have so many enemies. So many are against me.
I hear
Um,
that because it's just your personality. It's just
no, that's verse 1, Dave.
oh, you're reading the psalm. Oh, well, never mind. No, I say that I say that in love. No, I say that just because I think
I'm
sometimes
speaking the truth in
I think
love.
that's why sometimes we do have issues with some of these psalms because it talks about enemies, and we might be reading it, it's like, well, I don't have what I would consider enemies. Some folks have people that are literally working against them, but
True.
not everyone. And so you read this and it's like, well, I can't say that I have many against me. I have a lot of people supporting me, friends and family, and I've got a community of faith. They're supporting me. And so we don't always track with it. But the reality is, I look at this and say, I do have enemies. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is these temptations. I have an enemy trying to get me to, become an obstacle between me and my relationship with God. And
Mm.
so sometimes I look at it in that regard that my sins are my enemies. Uh, but anyway, it's really about trying to find a way to identify with this psalm because I think we can identify with all of them. It's some in some ways.
Well, and if you want to live in verse 3, I mean,
Yeah,
if you just want to say that the Lord is a shield around me. I mean,
yeah,
and again, whether that's our own personal enemies, whether it's our own perception about other people, the way we judge other people, whatever it is, God is protecting me from those kinds of things. Um, and it's almost contingent on verse number 4, right? I cried out to the Lord, and He answered. You are a shield around me. You are my glory, the one who holds my head high, and you answer me. I love that. That's
yes,
beautiful, and
it
I
is.
like that this is one of the few psalms where it's really. I mean, there are several, but I mean, not all of them. The interlude, either the interlude or Selah or whatever it is there, and you can almost hear kind of this musical transition kind of a thing. I like it. It's like state it, live in it for a minute. Let that music just kind of wash over you. State it, experience that again. I
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah, and there's a new marketing campaign. Oh, I forget one of the sports drinks called a pause.
Yes, yes. It's
And
Gatorade. Yeah,
it's not Gatorade. It's one
it's
of
not
the no
Powerade,
Powerade. I think it's
Kool
Powerade.
Aid.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's my sports drink of choice. Kool-Aid. I want to look just like the Kool-Aid guy,
Oh yeah.
busting through walls. Wow. But anyway, it's good to pause. It's these interludes. They think it might be musical, a musical term, but for me, it is about pausing. What does it mean to have enemies? What does it mean to have so much against you? But you, I love that.
Mhm.
I love when it's but you, oh Lord. This is my reality. This is what they're saying, but you are a shield. You
Yeah,
are my glory. And I think that's an important line. You are my glory, not my military paralysis, not my abilities, not my successes, but you are my glory. Yeah, that is beautiful, as you
that's
say,
great.
Kurt. Yeah, yeah. And I found this extremely interesting. I lay down and slept.
Hmm.
When there are people chasing you, when there are people after you, lying down and sleeping is probably the last thing you're able to do. I
Mhm.
see the folks, right now. I don't know when people watch this, but right now, there's a war going on in
Yeah.
Ukraine, and
Yeah.
especially at the beginning, you would hear people say, we haven't slept in 4 or 5 days. We just and we have it's hard, it's hard. But here, this psalmist, even though he has these enemies, he knows of God's protection, and so that enables him to lie down and sleep. And
You and I were together. You and I were together when when the war broke, when they went in Iraq.
yes,
The shock and awe.
yes,
And it's an interesting thing, and I've noticed this with Ukraine as I've been watching that. It seems like the air raid sirens are going off at night, and the shock and awe campaign happened at night. And there's something about using that cover of darkness to be
yes,
able to deliver the most devastating blow. And I think that's why when you look at this verse 5, 6, that nighttime would have been a scary time.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
you
yeah,
posted sentries, and you
yeah,
hope they didn't fall asleep, because then you that put you all at risk, right? I
yeah,
mean, so yeah, I like that, Dave. I like that imagery that you were able to bring
yeah.
out.
And even today, if you wanna bring this, I mean, because I think it's important, for a psalm like this to actually find, identification points.
Mhm.
What if your enemies stress? And
Yeah.
stress really
Yeah.
causes difficulty in sleeping.
Yeah.
But yet this psalmist, because he says, "You are a shield around me. You are my glory. I cried out, and he answered me from his holy mountain." Because of his security in God's presence and protection, he
Yeah.
says, "I am able to lay down and sleep." And what would that look like in our own lives? To know
Yeah.
that God is on the job, and to be able to lie down even with all this going on, and to be able to get into the present, to know right now God is with me.
And it's not just from David's perspective, or the writer of this psalm, it's not just I've got a little bothersome little thought in the back of my mind. 10,000 enemies
Yes.
surround me, and God is still bigger than those. I can still rest in peace.
Yeah. Yeah, they surround me on every side, but you know what? God is with me.
Yep.
And so then he cries out, "Arise, O Lord, rescue me, my God. I'm sure you're here. I know you're here. Rescue me. Slap all my enemies in the face." Now, some translations talk about breaking the teeth. Oh, it says right after that,
Yeah,
shatter the teeth.
shatter the teeth of the wicked.
And I was reading something about this, and they said that actually goes back to verse 1 and verse 2, and not actually verse 1, verse 2. So many are saying God will never rescue him. God shatter their teeth.
Hmm.
They won't be able to say that.
Oh,
And
okay. All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you see that? You see that?
Yeah.
And the way this psalm works is works from the outside in, and really
Right.
focusing
Right.
on these 2 sections, 3
Mm.
through 6. And so, rescue me, my God, from my enemies. That was the first part. Slap my enemies in the teeth, because or shatter their teeth, because they're saying this stuff. They won't be able to say it anymore, because you know what? You have stepped up, and you have taken away their ability to.
Mm.
And then the recognition that victory comes from you. May you bless your people. How can you not like that, Kurt? How can that not? That's warm and fuzzy. May you
Well, you
bless your
help me.
people.
You help me every week figure these things out. Like the slapping the enemy. Now, I will say, with the slapping the enemies, I really thought that was more of a humiliation,
Well, it would be.
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not just injure them, but humiliate them,
Yeah, make it so
because.
they can't even say that stuff. That's you're
Well,
saying
I
this
mean,
stuff, and then someone just shuts you up.
has anybody ever slapped you in the face?
I'm not gonna answer that.
It's humiliating,
Yeah.
or so you've told me.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just by your non-answer was really loud. Um, it's a humiliation. Let alone if you shatter their teeth and take it to that next step where it's that much of a strike, that it
Yes.
becomes that much.
Yeah.
May you bless your people. And I always like this when it's me, bless your people.
Yeah.
God bless your people. Bless everybody that's, because everybody's going to go through these kinds of things. God
Yeah.
bless them. I love
We
that.
and if you're people are looking for places to identify with, well, enemies, we all have challenges.
Yeah.
I've got challenges that face me. I've got challenges all around me. But you know what? God is with me. He is my shield. So I can lie down in safety and I can sleep and I will be okay in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. What would it be like to not be afraid of the challenges that are coming up in our lives? To know that there will be challenges, but knowing that we will be able to get through those because,
Yeah.
so God, yes, slap my challenges in the face. Please.
Yeah, put them
Do
in their
that.
place. I mean,
Yeah, put them in the
that
place.
really does put them in their place. Like you say, I mean, it doesn't have to be an army all around us.
Right.
We create our own enemies, and if we could put them in their place,
Yeah.
take them, humiliation being kind of the from the root word humble, to humble them, to put them
Yeah.
in a place that's below where they've risen to. I like it.
Yeah. And God, when I'm my own worst enemy, please don't slap me in the face.
Oh, my tooth is loose. What's that about?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
wake up in the morning and your teeth are all loose. You go, oh, I see what happened there. Well, Dave, thank you for this. This is fantastic. For those of you who are
yeah.
watching this, maybe for the very first time, what we do is we read the same psalm every day. We come together at the end of the week. We talk about it. See how God is speaking to us. Sometimes, once in a while, on a rare occasion, I'm actually able to bring some insight. But typically, Dave is the
Bring
one
insight all the time.
who brings it in, and we talk about it. We ponder it. We're not biblical scholars. We're biblical students, and we're trying to figure out what it has to say to us.
You know what? We're not just looking for insights, we're also looking for outsights. No, it didn't work.
I don't even know what that
Well,
means.
insights looking for in, out is how does this work out?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay, I take back everything I said about Dave's ability to really bring.
Like,
So follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on our own website, ponderingpassages.com. And we would love to have you follow us along, watch our Pondering Passages, read our blog. We have some podcasts. We're getting better at that, but we're still got some gaps. But it's a part-time job, right?
it's not even that.
Not even. All right, everybody, we'll see you back here in about a week where we'll be studying Psalm number 4. So we'll see you then. Welcome to Pondering Passages. I am Curt Austin. Think about that for a minute. What's it like to be Curt Austin? Let me try. Happened to me all over the place.
You're such a
Breaking my
little
teeth,
man.
man.
Just a little, so small.
Oh, no, make fun of
I'm
me.
a giant. I'm your enemy. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Right. What would it be like to be an uninterested bystander in my own life?
I'm uninterested with most of my own life, so that's the
you
problem.
And everyone else.